Did Tom Lee just say what I think he did? Bitcoin to 100,000 sounded ridiculous a year ago, and now it's on its path to fruition after the election. According to Tom Lee Fundstrat Research Company, the head of crypto is forecasting that Bitcoin will hit 115,000 by year end. Plus, what's in store for small caps and the reason he sees 100% gains. Here's a quick video of him explaining a little bit more in depth. This video was brought to you by Infinity Tax, so click on the link below for a free guide on how to pay zero in taxes.
Head of research at Fundstrat Global Advisors, Chief Investment Officer at Fundstrat Capital, and the list goes on and on. Andy's a CNBC contributor. First post-election appearance that we've had. You knew Trump was going to win.
Well,
not many people did.
Yes, that's.
I'll give you credit. Are you saying you didn't? Maybe you didn't say it in so many words, but you said it.
Yes, I'd say that we were placing a lot more weight on what the betting markets were pointing to, and so and we, when we look at all the deltas, that's.
And you saw it in the Trump trade,
yes.
And you saw it in Bitcoin,
correct,
and you saw it in sectors of the market that would benefit from.
That's right.
Presumably, but who knows from a Trump presidency? So 1,500 points out of the gate. More to come, or are we're already there?
I think we need to respect this move. I mean, there was a tremendous rally post-election, and it continued yesterday. I think it really does reflect a lot of money was taken out of the market because of the uncertainty around the election. And now we know that because of policy changes and animal spirits, that this is really going to benefit things like Bitcoin and small caps and regional banks and financials. So I do think there's still a lot of upside. I mean, small caps trade at 10 times median forward earnings. I mean, that's a.
So what do you think that should be? 12 times? I mean, what's the opportunity set in your mind?
Well, since 1987, small caps traded on a median PE basis at a premium to the S&P. The S&P is at 17 times. So I think small caps could, in the next couple years, outperform by more than 100%.
And what do you think about some of the macro issues that I think create a different level of uncertainty? We keep talking about the bond market and what that might be saying, what you think is happening with gold. Are the bond vigilantes going to be this governor on whatever you think is going to happen in Washington?
As James Carville famously said, the bond market is, everyone's scared of the bond market. So that is something we need to watch. But we've had plenty of periods where stocks have risen with bonds rising. And I kind of agree with Powell's assessment that it's not yields have gone up not because of inflation, but because there's sort of a change in growth expectations.
I thought that a sweep was, for either party, was the death knell for the markets and frightening to all involved. And now we're getting a sweep. Why isn't it more frightening? Maybe the sweep the other way would have been a little more frightening to some.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of the reason investors are getting somewhat optimistic is that President Trump is entering office again, but this time with a lot more knowledge of how to build, a cabinet and a team. And so in some ways, this would end up being more market friendly. And I think that's why investors are becoming optimistic. I mean, I kind of agree with the idea that there are animal spirits growing.
He'll never be deficit friendly, will he? I mean, he will be deficit friendly. He won't be, if we cut taxes on tips, Social Security, overtime, remove the SALT cap, extend the tax cuts. If you do all those things, that seems like...
It's going to be very difficult to fix the deficit with just changes in taxes and spending. But it's probably why Bitcoin is kind of interesting here, because it's potentially a Treasury reserve asset. And, if Bitcoin rises in price, it actually helps offset the liabilities, which is the deficit.
So you were at 150, I think, on Bitcoin, weren't you? But
yeah.
Not necessarily by the end of this year, or?
I think six figures is still possible for it before the end of the year, yeah.
And then more next year and the year after?
Yeah, I think because now, post-halving and now Bitcoin's becoming a lot more relevant, and I think maybe the regulatory overhang is diminishing, that there's a lot of upside from here, yes.
Okay, S&P. End of next year?
Well, between now and year end, 5 to 10% is probably the base case, just because that's the type of rally post-election, and we have a dovish Fed and, the normal seasonals.
Is that the right move right now for the Fed?
I think inflation fighting war is largely over, and the real rate is still too high. So I agree with Fed's view that we need to move towards neutral, which is towards 3%. So I think it is supportive of markets, and business investment has been constrained. So I think these things are positive.
So what about 2000? What's next year? Is that 25? They move so fast. They're like months now, the years. So what about 2025? So 5 to 10% more would put us well above.
Yeah, more than 6,000 before year end. I think at least for the foreseeable future.
No recession.
No recession, and
people want you to answer when I ask you a question. So what are you saying? 60, what hundred on the S&P?
I think well past like 6,700.
No,
sometime next year.
6,700.
Yeah, sometime next year, because
that's another 20%, isn't it?
Yeah, it's maybe 10, 15. Yeah, because margin debt hasn't really risen in the last 4 months, and the stock market's up. So we know investors haven't been adding risk. And now we have earnings visibility, and we have a continued dovish Fed, and then this election's behind us, so multiple tailwinds exist.
Oh, you're pretty bullish.
I think I'm pretty positive on the U.S. and fundamentals, yes.
Okay, good.
The best way to take advantage of this opportunity is to dollar cost average into your favorite index fund or Bitcoin after doing your own personal research and see if it fits your investment risk appetite. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and click on the link below for the free guide on how to pay zero in taxes from Infinity Tax. Thank you.